This has long been one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. I have no idea why, because while it isn't considered one of the lesser plays in Shakespeare's canon, it's a play which is extremely difficult, it's complex. It was not produced for almost 300 years after it was originally produced in 1604 because the audiences couldn't quite determine what it was. It simply is what we would call today a black comedy. It's a play that is ultimately very, very serious in its intent and in the world, but it approaches it with a really outrageous sense of humor because the characters are doing outrageous things. The narrative takes a lot of tricky turns.
We're setting it in late 70s New York City, which was very similar to 1600 to 1604 in London when Shakespeare wrote the play. It's a time where the city is just in decay, and there are brothels and prostitution and disease just running rampant in this crumbling, almost apocalyptic world. And in Shakespeare's time, James I closed down all the brothels because the plague was running rampant and 36,000 people died in and around London in that 4-year period. We're setting it in late 70s New York. The plague of AIDS is just beginning, and Angelo shuts down the brothels in the same way.
There's this amazing intersection in this play between politics, religion, sexuality, violence, abuse, which is very, very contemporary and always has been, which I think makes it relevant for any time, but particularly relevant for the times that we live in today.
Most of the people around the table weren't even born in the 70s. It's all sort of ancient history, and it sounds bleak and seedy and, sordid and all this stuff, as it was, but it was also fun. It was really kind of a really fun time.
When Bob first told me that he wanted to do this in the 70s, it just kind of instantly opened up a whole world of imagination for me. For American audiences, it just seemed like a way to make the story immediately accessible.
I think the key to a contemporary production of Shakespeare is really the collaboration with the designers. And the trick is to both accommodate absolutely Shakespeare's vision, although that's quite debatable. You have to remember that over 400 years have gone by, and the director's collaboration, the designer's collaboration, the actor's collaboration with Shakespeare becomes essential.
It was really this great experience of going to the real research, because there's just so much to New York in the 70s. And from the very beginning, what was important to us was to really capture the grit of the 1970s rather than the bad fashion and snazziness. Colors were very important. Colors mixed with the dirt. So I was really gravitating towards acidic colors like yellows and greens, and then mix them with the non-colors like grays and blacks. We really wanted to focus on the darkness.
When you walk around Times Square, well, now it's been kind of homogenized, but peep shows and bordellos and bars, and there's kind of a drug scene that's there, but then there's also the police precinct, and there's a Catholic rectory, all right there in a 1-block radius in New York. One of the wonderful things about working with Bob is that he always wants to make Shakespeare very immediate to the audience. So when he said that he wanted to set it in that, I immediately became very excited and knew that the audience would be able to really relate to the look and feel of the show.
I think someone somewhere said, "This isn't your grandmother's Shakespeare." Like, I think someone wrote it on Facebook or something about this production. I would absolutely say that. In fact, we were running something the other day and I was like, how is my grandmother going to react? Because we're really delving into this world that's seedy and corrupt and foul and diseased and amazing, but it's pretty scary, so watch out. It's no boring old Shakespeare.